Hello and welcome to my channel. Again, today I want to be talking about a dream that I had. The dream was actually I had this dream yesterday, and the dream was, well, it was quite scary. It was a bit scary. So I'm gonna be reading what I wrote down in my dream. So in my dream, I was hanging out with this group of people who were my friends in the dream. We were outside talking, and then all of a sudden they invited me to go in the car. I hesitated for a bit, and I felt like something was off. But I shrugged it off and then decided to go in the car with my friends. After a minute or so, the guy, my friend, the one who was driving, he decided to turn on the car, and then he started driving. I was in the car with him, with his friends, and we all decided to. He was driving, but when I was in the car with him and his friends, we were all in the same car, and we just started driving around the block. Then all of a sudden, when I looked to, because when I'm sitting down, when I looked to my left side, he was laughing and smiling at me with this sinister look. And I knew right there I was not safe. Like, I felt something was off. I was like, oh my goodness, like, I'm scared, like something's off. He's looking at me weird. He's looking at me with this sinister look. Something's not right here. So I didn't know what to do. So then after about a couple of seconds later, I looked in the back seat, and I noticed that one of his friends, right? One of his friends, which was my friend too, he was sticking his tongue at me, like an evil or possessed way. And I noticed that his tongue was blue on top, and in the bottom, his tongue was red. And his tongue was really long. It was really long, and the tip of his tongue was really pointy. It came up to here like this. It was really pointy. And he was just sticking his tongue and going, like, just doing movements like that. Yeah, that kind of scared me. So again, I repeated. I noticed his tongue was blue on the top, and in the bottom, his tongue was red. His tongue was really long, and the tip of his tongue was really pointy. His tongue was scary. It was horrifying. I knew that by looking at his tongue, he was a demon. Now, his friend who was sitting next to him in the back seat was also a demon too, because I also noticed that his human face was changing a little, like a little glitch. Like, I would see his face. It's really hard to explain, but I'm gonna read whatever I said. Then his face would turn back to normal, and then it would glitch again. Like, for example, his face would look normal like mine's, and then all of a sudden it was like a movement. It was a weird movement. It would glitch, and then his face would turn back to normal. It was really weird. So I quickly looked to the front. I was afraid. I turned around and I quickly looked to the front. And then all of a sudden, when I looked at him, because he scared me out, I faced to the front because I was afraid. I was like, I do not want to look back there because, okay, I already know that the guy behind me is a demon because of his tongue. And the other guy behind me, his face was not normal, His face kept changing. I seen him, his face was like in a human form, and then it would just glitch. So I knew that for sure that he was a demon, for sure. So then I turned around, then they all started laughing, and said that they were starving. They said they wanted to eat. And they, like I said, they all started laughing and said that they were starving. And then they said they wanted to eat and quickly looked at me with this hunger in their face. Then I knew that the reason why they invited me to the car was because they wanted to kill me and eat me. So basically, I was the victim. So then all of a sudden, I turned around and looked to the front. And then I turned to my left side where my friend was driving. And he was smiling at me and looking at me with a hungry look in his face. Like, oh, expression like that. And I saw him and I felt scared. And a few seconds later, I turned to my friend, right? A few seconds later after that, I realized that I turned into my friend. I was now the one driving. I was the one now who was in the seat driving. I was the one who was driving the car now. And then I noticed the victim, which was me before, was another girl. So now I was driving the car and now the victim was here. Like I said, I'll repeat that. I noticed the victim, which was me before, was another girl. I was the bad one. I was the one smiling at her with a hungry look in my face, like I wanted to eat her. And she looked terrified. My friends kept calling out, "I'm hungry, let's eat now. Eat her." And I felt like I loved my friends, but at the same time, I felt like I was being pressured to do something that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to eat the girl, but my friends wanted to. I felt as though that they were being a bad influence on me. I felt like they were trying to tempt me into doing something that I didn't want to do. And in the beginning, I wanted to, but then at the end, I didn't. I was confused, you know? And they just kept talking about, let's eat the girl, let's eat the girl. And then afterwards, they just stopped. Then afterwards, they kept teasing the girl and trying to scare her for fun. And then I did it too. I did the same thing. I tried to scare her too. But then I stopped because I knew that what they were doing was wrong. I knew it was wrong. And in the dream, I looked at the girl like I felt sorry for her. I felt like I had a feeling like I was a monster. I felt like I didn't even recognize myself anymore. You know? That was the realization I had. And that's why I decided not to eat her. And I decided to stop picking on her. And I knew it was wrong. And, you know, this is where I decided that my friends were evil and that I didn't want to partake in any of these things that they were doing at all. And that's where the dream ended there, you know? I'm just completely shocked by the dream because before, I know if it makes any sense, I was the victim before. I was the victim where they wanted to eat me. And then all of a sudden, I became the bad guy. I was the one driving the car. And then all of a sudden, when I looked, I was staring at the girl. I was staring at the victim. And I was the evil one. Now let me explain this dream. I feel like this dream was more about a spiritual battle that someone is going through in their life. I feel like someone is going through a lot of temptations in their life. I'll repeat that again. I feel like this dream was more about a spiritual battle that someone is going through in their life. And I feel like someone is going through a lot of temptations in their life and doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. but at the same time, they are. I feel like they're trying to fight it, because at first in the dream I hesitated, but I decided to go along anyway and get in the car. I felt like whoever was going through this didn't know what they were getting themselves into. I felt like they were listening to their intuition, but they ignored it. This is where I felt that this was the beginning of this spiritual battle. I felt like in the beginning, they were the victim of the spiritual battle. And that's why in the dream, I was the victim in the beginning. I felt like they were surrounded by an evil force that was trying to control them. I felt like they were struggling in their life. I felt like they were trying to do the right thing, but it was hard for them to walk on the right path because they were being tempted by these evil forces. They were so deep in the spiritual battle of temptation that at the end, instead of being a victim, like at the beginning of my dream, they became evil at the end because of the temptations and bad things that they decided to continue to do in their lives, knowing that it was wrong. The spiritual battle that they were going through took over them. Now, at the end of my dream, when I decided not to eat the girl or make fun of her, this was an indication that whoever was going through this knew that they were being tempted and fell into temptation. And then later felt ashamed of their acts and what they were doing in their lives. So in the end, they decided that they no longer wanted to partake in these things. They no longer wanted to participate in this. And like I said, there's a scripture in the Bible, no temptations has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide a way of escape so that he may be able to endure it. So whatever temptation that anyone is going through out there, pray. I'll repeat this again. Whatever temptation that anyone is going through out there, pray and ask God for forgiveness. And God will help you find your way. God will help lead you away from temptation by giving you the strength you need to fight it, so that later on you will be able to stand and not let it get in your way. No, and I hope and pray that whoever is going through this right now, that God will protect them, heal them, and lead them in the right path. I hope and pray that God does. And I'll repeat this again. And I would really repeat this again. And I'm going to repeat the verse as well. And that verse was from Corinthians, 1 Corinthians, excuse my accent, 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability, but with the temptation he will also provide a way of escape so that you may be able to endure it. Again, whatever temptation that anyone is going through out there, pray and ask God for forgiveness, and God will help you find your way. God will help lead you away from temptation by giving you the strength you need to fight it, so that later on you will be able to stand and not let it get in your way. And again, let's do this prayer once again. I hope and pray that whoever is going through this right now, that God will help them and heal them and lead them in the right path. And again, thank you so much for listening to my channel, and have a very blessed day. Bye.